Okay, here is like my mini confession. It's just one mini confession. It's not like the only one. An embarrassing like little confession of mine is that for like 30 years I used to daydream and fantasize about like a catastrophic event. Um, Something like think like a zombie apocalypse or like an end of times type event. I would like literally fantasize about a zombie apocalypse, because I really feel like I would survive. I guess like everybody thinks that, but um, I just wanted like to be done with so much bullshit in the world, and I just wanted like a motive to live, and life just looked so every direction I looked for years and years, it just felt like mundane and just like this fucking I felt like I was like born to be like propped in this rat race that I did not want to be in. Um so like I would fantasize about catastrophe, and I think that's why I gravitated so much towards like really intense, like toxic, codependent relationships and drugs and just like so many self destructive things. Because, like, if you don't have a foundation of self love and acceptance and like self forgiveness, if you don't have any self worth or self esteem, as I did not, you can't build a foundation on yourself because you don't fucking know yourself. You don't love yourself. You can't get to know yourself because you don't love yourself. So you have to like look elsewhere out, in other words, you have to look outside yourself until you love yourself for completion. And so that's what I did for, like I said, my entire life until I was 34. I looked externally, and because I had like this such a shaky foundation, I didn't have a foundation. It was like this dry sand castle sense of self. Because I didn't have anything solid to build on, I not only looked externally, but I looked towards like really destructive things because they were exciting or they made me feel like alive, or they kind of like, chaos fills you up like faster than sustenance like does. However, it's fleeting. Chaos is like a roller coaster. It's like up, but then you go down, and I've learned like I can build myself up a lot actually higher in a genuine way, but it's not like on this like ridiculously shaky foundation, so it's actually sturdy. And I used to think like if there wasn't chaos, then it was, life was going to be boring. But it's not like, oh well, I just gave in. I used to think that people that weren't like drug addicts or people that just led like normal lives, I used to think like they acquiesced. Is that the right word? That's the word that pops in my head, but I don't even know if that's the right word. It's gonna go with it. I used to think that they just like gave in and was just like, oh, here, have my soul. I'll like work at Walmart or work at this job I can't stand and just get through, the monotony of the day every day until the day I die. I used to think they just like gave in to the man or to the machine. But now, like for me, I mean, I don't, who knows about other people, but just speaking from experience, um, I don't want chaos, but I knew that wasn't going to work either. Just like, submitting to this reality that I did not sign up for. And honestly, I'm not like down with, and it's okay to say that, but if you're not going to lead a life of, just working for the man like a 9 to 5, like a typical life, and you don't want a life of just chaos, then what are you going to do? And so when I started to figure that out, which I've really been doing for the past like two, I don't know, not quite 2.5 years now, I've been living life on my own terms. And it took me 2 years of like building up to really like be confident in saying, oh, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. And, it works out. It's not easy. We still, we struggle financially, but the point is that I'm like happy and I'm content. I pass my time, daily doing like soul enriching things. And, like journaling is fun, writing is fun, meditating is fun, like having a dog and having the mental stability to take care of a of a dog is like actually fun. I love like to walk the dog, and that's not like boring at all. It's really not. Because it's enriching and you can feel it when you're doing something that like nourishes your soul, like even like exercising and eating right, like it just feels different, because I'm doing it because I want to. And plus, when I really started to get my mind under control, my mind was and still is to a large degree so very chaotic and troubled, and I have a lot of issues, that a lot of patterns, a lot of unlearning to do. It's just a lot, and that's like a full-time job. The last thing I want to do is like add more congestion to my already jumbled mind. But I just could never even like think about that. Like living life and like being happy and not like, daydreaming of, disaster, like impending doom. So I don't know. I just kind of like wanted to share that. I don't even really know where I was going, but I don't know. Chaos. And here's another thing I used to think when I was like, okay, it's either a 9 to 5 or like chaos and drugs and like this crazy codependent relationship. And I love really deeply, and I love the way that I see people, and I love that I have like a big romantic heart. However, that can get you in trouble, especially if you have a lack of sense of self and low self-esteem and all these other like issues with codependency and self-destruction and yada yada. So and I got myself in like some super toxic relationships, the last one of which almost cost me my life. But I wanted a partner that like would die without me, that I would die for. I wanted it to be really intense, because I thought, well, if it's not intense, it's just the way I felt anyway, because my mind was so fucked up. But I thought if it wasn't intense, and it's like just this boring old ho-hum, and that's not the case either. It's like, when you start focusing on yourself, I mean, if you're like prone to self-destruction and addiction and mental illness, as I was, when you start working on yourself, you're like, damn, I don't even have time for anybody else's bullshit, like for real. And that is like a very liberating feeling. And it was truly like being happy, being on my own. And if it happens, it happens. But like, I mean, I was like ready truly to spend the rest of my life with my own company, and I was fine with that. And it was in that acceptance of myself and being single and accepting my own company and just, loving myself. It was that not needing of a partner that opened the door to me having like an amazing partner, who actually is supportive and who's just like, the love story I always wanted but never thought I could get. So I settled for like, mania and like needle dope and stuff. But after being an addict, and this is, I don't know why, like I had never looked at this in 13 years of IV drug addiction, in like 30 years of self-loathing and mental illness, and just like this chaotic, maudlin mind of mine. I had never thought about it. It seems like nobody else does. Like people that do drugs like all the time, people that are like fucking outlaws or on the outskirts of society or whatever. I mean, maybe some of them are, but for me, I was not happy at the end of the day. When I was a junkie, I still wasn't happy. I still fucking hated myself, and I hated life, and I was just like ready for death. And that there's maybe not everybody is like that, but and I've been around like, in 13 years, like literally hundreds of addicts. All addicts are miserable. I thought like it was a way to find like this incredible feeling, and like, is needle dope an incredible feeling? Of course it is, but obviously it's not enough, because every addict still has like this heavy, beaten down, battered and tattered soul. They don't, it's really sad, and it's like, wow, I never even thought about that. I just thought about like the amazing feeling of heroin, but heroin is amazing. Heroin is always going to be amazing. But just because I ingested it, or just because anybody ingests, you know, whatever their drug of choice is, they're not amazing. You know, you don't get to be amazing like heroin. You know, you just get like, you ingest it, so you feel like some of its power for like this ever fleeting period of time. But you know, you're still like your fucking miserable self. And it's like, it was like, well, if I can just stay high, at least, you know, I can get this synthetic feeling of like euphoria. It's better than nothing. But like, the end of the day, you know, even like someone like Hunter S. Thompson, who knows, obviously, did I know him? Unfortunately not. So who knows what was going on in his mind. But he had a dream career, you know, a dream profession, a dream life, and he got to get high all the fucking time, and he was rich, like literally a perfect life. And you know, look how he died, by his own hand, you know. So I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. Have a good night.